Sleepaway Camp 3 Teenage Wasteland was better. And I know you're thinking, Jen, this is not exactly a glowing endorsement. No, no, it is not. But after Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers, I was not asking for a masterpiece. I was asking for a movie that felt like it knew what it was doing. And somehow, against all odds, this movie showed up and said, hey, what if we actually tried a little bit? Good job, guys! Slow, extremely patronizing clap reserved for a coworker who finally figured out how to use the cash register. The movie wastes absolutely no time establishing its tone. Within the first few minutes, we have nudity, a woman being chased by a truck with no explanation, and Angela stealing someone's identity. Subtlety has left the building. Subtlety looked at Sleepaway Camp 3 and said, you know what? I'm just going to sit this one out. I respect the commitment, at least, because this movie understands something part 2 didn't. If you're going to make Angela the main attraction, you have to make Angela entertaining. And this Angela is way more fun. In the previous movie, she felt like she had all the presence of a wet sock. She was technically there, but she wasn't really making an impression. And to be clear, I think Pamela Springsteen was working with what she was given. It is not her fault Sleepaway Camp 2 sucked. Here, she finally becomes the character she should have been all along, a completely unhinged camp counselor who has appointed herself the world's most violent life coach. Angela has opinions, a lot of opinions. Drugs, bad. Solution murder. Littering, bad. Solution murder. Being a terrible person. You guessed it, solution murder. She is basically a homicidal version of an angry PTA mom. Your behavior is unacceptable, young lady. Pulls out murder weapon. Let's discuss consequences. And somehow it works a little bit. The biggest improvement is the campers themselves. Now, are they complex, deeply developed characters? Of course they aren't. Most of them have the characterizations of someone filling out a dating profile and only having 3 options available. But at least I knew who they were. I remembered them, I had opinions about them, and most importantly for a slasher movie, I actually cared if they died. Uh, it sounds terrible, but it's true. A slasher lives or dies by its victims. Huh. If the audience doesn't care about the people being chased around, the movie just becomes a checklist of creative ways to remove bodies, which is a different kind of slasher movie. Part 2 had me watching kills like, oh, that person died. Anyways, part 3 has me going, okay, Angela, get him. Specifically because of this racist bitch from Dunwoody. Gets her head cracked open like an egg. The movie also gets much funnier this time around because the jokes actually have timing. The previous movie felt like someone told Angela, say something funny, and then just walked off immediately. Here, the movie actually lets the absurdity do some work. Angela roasting marshmallows over the fire of the bodies she just made might be one of the funniest images in the entire franchise because the joke isn't complicated. It's just horrible murder scene, normal camp activity. The contrast is what makes it work. Angela is sitting there like she's making s'mores at a family reunion while everyone else is thinking, man, this is a crime scene. The one-liners also land better. Well, some of them still don't land, but there are a few that genuinely made me laugh. I think the best example is when the cop asks Angela how she's going to kill him, and you would expect a knife, an axe, or some kind of elaborate camp-related murder device, but Angela just goes, "A gun!" It's the enthusiasm that got me. She's not threatening, she's excited. It's like she just remembered she had a coupon. It's got the same energy as that Indiana Jones scene where you're expecting an elaborate sword fight and instead Ford just pulls out a gun. Sometimes the funniest thing you can do is subvert expectations and ignore all the rules everyone else is following. This movie also surprised me with how much continuity it actually had. We get a lot of callbacks to part 2, including the hockey mask prank and Hanson Squidward's father returning as the cop to stop Angela. Learning now that part 2 and part 3 were like filmed simultaneously or back to back, it makes a lot of sense. But I did not go into Sleepaway Camp 3 expecting it to remember things from Sleepaway Camp 2. I was expecting it to treat continuity like a rumor, but someone was keeping notes. The most interesting part, though, was Angela's flashbacks because they're not really flashbacks. They're Angela's version of events. And that's a cool idea. The trophy she remembers receiving is ridiculously oversized. The campers' reactions to her are exaggerated. Everyone treats her like some kind of legendary hero because, in Angela's mind, that's what happened. She doesn't remember herself as a murderer. She remembers herself as someone who fixed things. She is the hero of her own story, and that might be the most interesting thing the franchise has done with Angela since the first movie. This is a person who created an entire reality where her actions are justified. She's not hiding from what she does. She's convinced herself she's right. She's not just a killer. She's a killer with a mission statement. And unfortunately, that mission statement is basically, have we considered murder yet? Now, This is still a very cheap movie. The budget is not exactly hiding. The lawnmower kill looks less like Angela's committing a murder and more like Angela is very aggressively maintaining the camp's landscaping. The camp has maybe 15 people total, and Angela wipes out most of them like she's trying to finish before lunch. There is a horrible old man who looks like a human sized garden gnome. I didn't like him at all. Gross as hell. The production quality is still very much we had one camera and a dream, but unlike part two, I had fun. I laughed. I was interested. I actually cared about some of the character. Tony and Marsha's romance was actually kind of cute, which is not something I expected to say about a Sleepaway Camp sequel. In my opinion, Ohio boyfriend can bite it, camp boyfriend wins. By the end, Angela had done what Angela does best: eliminate pretty much everybody, get arrested, and escape consequences, while leaving behind a trail of questionable life lessons. The cop in the ambulance at the end sees her and goes, "Yeah, let's kill her," because that's the right idea. He understands the situation. Unfortunately, Angela just kills him because obviously Angela is left saying, "Just taking care of business." And you know what? She's not wrong. She's just a terrible person. Sleepaway Camp 3 Teenage Wasteland is not a good movie. Let's be clear. It is cheap, it is ridiculous, and it is often deeply questionable. But it is also a massive improvement over part two because it finally understands timing. It is a goofy slasher comedy starring a woman who thinks murder is a public service. And it kind of works a little bit. I'm not recommending it exactly, but considering where we came from, I'll take it.